Hello guys, and welcome back again to the this week's theme, as obviously the big hero and the creator of Marvel, or co-creator of Marvel, passed away. But creator of Marvel, or co-creator of Marvel, passed away. But I put my feelings in the very first video we did, and we've come to the end of the week, and as this week was dedicated to Stan Lee, as normally I am doing my stream, and today I am going to be continuing on with my normal theme, normal thing that I do each week, which is digitize the artwork. And again, I am recording this on my OBS, so you can check this back afterwards, guys. And I will upload Critter to you so you can see it. Just let me check everything is okay with the camera, but I do believe it is. As like I said, this is the end of the week and the end of the dedicated videos to Stan Lee. Because normally what I will do is I will sketch the artwork, which I've done there, and then I'll ink the artwork, which I've done, and then I will color, and at the end of the week I always digitize, and that's what that video is today, guys. If you want to check out any of the other stages to this video, guys, it is on the channel. All you got to do, guys, is check out put me in the corner and check out the other videos. But if you're watching this back, the Critter upload, because I am recording this like I will be from now on in OBS, and so you can see every brush stroke and every piece that I do, because what I've noticed when I'm doing it via my camera, you can't always see the actual tones and the colors that I put in, because sometimes the colors are a lot lighter than it does appear on the camera. So what I'm doing, guys, is I will do it live for you, and then afterwards I will upload the recording, which I am recording now. If you get a little bit buff in this stream, guys, I do apologize for that. It is purely because like I said, I'm recording as well, but like I said, if it's a bad thing, the stream shouldn't drop out, but you may get a little bit of buff, which again I do apologize for. But again, you will not get any buff during the recording, so be prepared for that hour, and keep watching, guys, because I'm going to be digitizing this. This is what I drew the other day, and the past week that has gone. The cursor is moving a little bit slow, so that probably means my CPO, I don't know what it's called. It's CPR, CRB, I don't know, whatever it's called. It is moving. What I might do is I'll do a live stream today and then continue on later on in a different video, which I'll do off stream to continue on. But if you want to leave any comments today, guys, you can do by hitting that live chat button, or just leaving a comment down below if you're watching back on the live after stream. So here we go, just go hi in the chat, and I should see that one pop up. But if I don't see it straight away, guys, it just means I have what I've done is I've minimized it. There we go. What I'll do, that's actually made it bigger. That's not good. What I'll do, there we go. What I'll do, guys. No, that's what's going on here? That's Critter, which I want. This here is the stream, which I want to minimize. Again, this is the first time I've done it this way before. Normally, I'll have this a lot bigger, but there's a slight bit of annoyance. Like again, the recording that I'm doing will not show everything that I'm doing now. It will just record. It will just show the Critter file that I'm actually working on. So again, guys, if you want to say hi in the chat, all you got to do is say hi in the chat there. Or if you're watching back over on the other video, which I'm recording now, which is over on my OBS, which if I can get my mouse to go down there, this using OBS. And it is a free app. Again, if you want to know anything about Critter or OBS, I will happily give you information and show you how to actually set up OBS, because I've watched a few videos and what they've shown you isn't everything. So definitely ask me a few questions if you have any. Otherwise, just enjoy. And I'll be listening to, once again, the workings of Stan Lee. And again, this is a video, a live stream and recorded video for the legend that is Stan Lee.
He's been the hero, the villain, and the friend. The world reborn. What will Tony Stark be next? Welcome to the Complete Story Series. We take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bite to help you understand.
Sorry guys, I'm just getting the playlist in the background. Making sure it's loud enough so you can hear it.
And then we're going to dramatic effect. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies.
This is Comic Story, which I'm listening to. So again, if there's any video that you want or any hero that you have loved that Stan has created, let me know, and I will have that playing in the background.
He is proud of himself once again. He did it. He made it better. He merged all of his armor types into one. It's armor that can change shape and color based on the mission, and armor that isn't attached to his biology so that it freaks people out. It is not attached to his brain, making him all weird and evil. He has to take this out on the town. But Friday, his computer informs him that he'll be late for a date with the prestigious Dr. Amara Pereira. And while Tony Stark is going on his date with her, something else is happening in Stark Tower, Japan. A woman in a mask comes crashing out of the building, shooting ninjas that are falling to the ground below her. But back with Tony Stark's date, things seem to be going well, except that the good doctor knows Tony's reputation as a womanizing playboy. He insists that he is changing. Like if he was trying to impress her, he'd have Thor fly in for a visit or something. The doctor turns to eat her cake and tells him to just be Tony Stark. She doesn't need all of the special treatment. So as Thor was beginning to land, Tony begins to wave her away. Go. Tony walks over to her. I know you. I read your papers, and I bet you have 5 change-the-world things ready to go in your mind that you don't want to release for fear of what it will do to the world. She looks down. I have 1. I have the cure for the mutant gene. Tony is in shock, and he offers to help her lock her mind away from psychic spies because she doesn't want to cure the mutant gene. It would turn into a law to be vaccinated. Tony looks her in the eyes, and Amara looks at him, and they lean in to kiss each other when she asks what he's doing. She's heard his reputation and knows that he's a horn dog. So he has to wait. Maybe next time they can kiss. Then Friday appears before him to let him know that Whitney Frost is back. She was last seen in Latveria, so Tony suits up and rockets off to see what he can find. And once he lands, he finds the most shocking development yet. Dr. Doom, with a fixed face, smiling and welcoming him. He raises his arm ready to blast Dr. Doom, and he does with the full force of his beams, only to have Dr. Doom block it with a magical spell. Friday confirms that it is in fact Dr. Doom. All well and good. Dr. Doom confirms this by reminding Tony of the time that they traveled back in time to the court of King Arthur, and they had a rousing adventure. You tried to murder me and leave me there. I said I remembered it fondly, not that you did. So Tony goes into full Hulkbuster mode, only to have it blocked by another magical shield. Are you finished? I'm here to track down Whitney Frost.
Again, guys, I do think there's a little bit of buff in the live stream, so if you are experiencing a little bit of buff, I do apologise for that. But you can watch the recording that I'm making right now afterwards, hour after the stream.
Dr. Doom leads Tony down the stairs and into his secret lab, where he's holding the Wama Watum. He then hands it to Tony to ensure Whitney won't get it, and to get Tony to trust him. He then tells Tony to triangulate the energy in this castle, and he'll find Whitney. Then, with the snap of his fingers, Iron Man finds himself in the Bronx Zoo. Whitney went to go meet her contact, and she informs her that the intel was wrong. The wand that she got from Dr. Doom's castle is a fake, and then she shoots her contact. She walks into the shower and takes a moment to relax and clean up, but once she comes back into the hotel room, she finds Tony Stark sitting there holding her mask and looking at it without his armor. He asks her about the artifacts that she is looking for, and he finds that Dr. Doom was telling him the truth. Could it be that Dr. Doom is actually trying to do the right thing? But Whitney takes this chance to lunge at Tony, only to be thrown back by his armor that he is wearing, but he had in stealth mode. He looks at her hand with the X-ray vision in his suit, and
It's
he
always
tells her
handy
that she
to
just
make,
broke it in 3 places. In response, she taps him,
so it's
and magic
always
explodes
handy
around
to
him as she
make
yells, "Die!" The suit goes into
different
lockdown,
layers,
and
because
Friday can tell
you'll see in a
Tony is
moment
going to
as
die.
when
But
I
he
go
isn't ready to
further
do
into
anything
this, that
drastic,
you
and
would
he
put
firmly believes that
your
Whitney is just in
layers
over her head, and he tries to get
over
a way out of
each
this.
thing, because
But
what I just did
Friday
then would
has
have
her own
been there
plan.
permanently,
She is
and you don't want
programmed
to
to keep Tony
sort of
alive
mess
no
up the
matter what.
original
She
image.
causes a massive explosion
So a layer
as the
and
suit
a layer,
jumps
so we'll
off
do a
of Tony,
base layer,
throwing him out of the
and I'll
building.
call that
It
one,
then reforms on its own, and
what should we
blasts
call that one?
Whitney
Should
while
we call
Tony
that
is telling
skin?
Friday, "I don't want this!" Friday tells him that it's too late. The suit is in remote mode, and it begins
And then we'll
blasting
call
Whitney
this
with
one,
everything. The whole time, Tony lands
glasses.
on the rooftop controlling the suit, trying to not hurt her too severely. So Whitney teleports away. Realizing that something
we'll
has
leave it
changed,
like that for
Tony
now.
calls up his friend Dr. Strange. And after
And
a
then we'll
quick
probably
visit with his new female friend, in which he
we'll
asks her
leave
how
it like that
hydra
for a
is her
minute.
response, and she
I'll
tells
just
him
do
that
the
she has
face
no
a
idea what
moment.
he's talking about. He heads off to see Dr. Strange. He explained that Dr. Doom was back.
You'll see the
while
importance
he
of
didn't
layers
have their
too.
kick-ass facial hair, he did look good.
But again, guys, if there
Dr.
is any
Strange
heroes
finds
that you
the
want to
whole
listen to,
situation weird,
just
but he's
ask
more
me
weirded
down
out by
below in the
Dr.
live
having
chat.
a womb of a tomb and Whitney hunting these artifacts. Because Dr. Strange has the womb of a tomb. Dr. Doom got his from another dimension. He then sees Whitney is trying to pull magical energy from the other dimension and informs Tony
Saying that, what I'll do is I'll cover the
I
whole
know this is
thing.
magic and all strange, but can I handle this on my own? I was kind of hoping you'd say that. I have a lot going on right now. Anything I can help with? Do you have a key to Dimension Q? Not on me. So Tony
Cover
holds
the
up
whole,
his hand for a
whole
high
face,
five.
and then I'll
Thanks,
do the
Doc.
details of the face
He then holds that
afterwards.
position.
You'll see
But
why
Dr.
you
Strange
have
isn't
two different
returning.
layers.
No. Come on! I told you I would never do that again. You can do it, Dr. Strange! And he holds that position. And he holds it until Dr. Strange finally high-fives him. Awesome facial hair, bros! I hate you. He heads off for California right away in his new stealth mode where he doesn't find Whitney, just an audio tape that she left for him. She apologized for the night before, but warned him not to come after her. She will kill him, and he's not the only one looking for her. At that moment, ninjas throw him out of the window. He finds himself on the beach in the moonlight, battling against ninjas that are throwing him around like a toy. After he gets tired of being their plaything, he activates a new armor mode, Samurai Iron Man, complete with a new Iron Man samurai sword. He begins fighting back, and he's able to stop them once he separates them so that they can't coordinate their attacks against him. And eventually he wins as he learns that they are wearing tech suits. Tech suits are kind of his thing. And then they all short out, killing themselves. Tony is stumped as to where to go next, but after a charity appearance at a hospital where he brings children-sized versions of his suits, Dr. Doom shows up again to inform him that he found Whitney at Mary Jane Watson's new club. Whitney was there to get another artifact a gentleman in the club was holding onto, and Doom and Iron Man showed up to stop her by trapping her in an energy bubble specifically designed to contain her. This just makes her madder, and she takes a hold of Doom. Friday then reports to Tony that she is also
We can
attempting
remove
to break
that layer,
into his
and we'll
armor,
keep that
just
layer
before
because we've
Whitney lets
already
loose
done
a
the
magical
basic color over the
explosion,
top.
throwing back Doom and Tony. She then jumps on Tony and begins tearing his
And then I'll
mask
go
off of
to
his suit so she can
this
disable
layer
the suit.
here and do the
Then, out of
hand
nowhere, Mary Jane cracks Whitney over the head with a mic
in the
stand.
same color,
She
but
knocked off
it will be
Whitney's
on top
mask
now.
and right away realized the problem with that. Luckily, it was enough to break her hold on Tony and Doom gets back into the fight, blasting her with everything that he has, while Tony grabs Mary Jane and gets her out of the fight. As Mary Jane runs off, Tony asks Friday who that girl was. Mary Jane Watson, supermodel. Cool. That's when Tony sees the demon possessing Whitney as her face is twisted with power, with fangs growing out of her mouth, and he realizes she had lost him. So he apologizes to her, and he lets his suit go. It forms around her, trapping her in his battle armor, and then it locks her down in place. With Stark in control of the suit, he lays her down so that Doom can perform an exorcism on her, freeing her of her demon and power finally. In a final explosion, though, Mary Jane's club is completely ruined and destroyed. So much for a fresh start away from New York. With her finally free of the demon, Dr. Strange teleports in and takes her so that he can heal her up. And as he's teleporting away, Tony thanks him for taking care of her. Dr. Strange looks at him. I had to. We're awesome facial hair bros. Tony is stunned. Wow. All of this was worth it just for that. 3 days later, Tony tracks down Mary Jane because he blew up her new club and she doesn't know what to do. Superheroes ruined her life again. So he offers her a job as his new PA. And that is the first 5 issues of the new Invincible Iron Man arc. Personally, I'm loving the direction they're going with this, and I hope you do too. If you want to find out what's next, go ahead and check out issue 6 to continue the story.
Look around.
Just gonna get rid of that advert.
It's time for a classic Iron Man and Captain America team up. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues, and I break them down to their decimal bites to help you understand. Then I read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Welcome to Madripoor.
I know it looks absolutely horrendous at the moment, but what I'll do, guys, is I will, not yet, but slowly, I'll take those layers and I'll put a layer between them.
See all of the new toys, and while there, he wants to convince the villains that they should stop, and he can also find new targets for the Avengers.
Shade the face
he's not
here.
here for himself. He's here for a friend, Steve Rogers, also known as
and
Captain
other things.
Steve got word of
I may change the names of the actual layers
right now,
as I
Steve's
go around.
walking around in a camo disguise, which is hiding his face. But while looking for one target, Steve recognizes
Just sort of, as I go, I make different layers
she's walking into the main
for different
room
steps of it.
Display. Steve feels like something is a bit off with her, so he follows her into the room, and that's when he sees a crazy doctor declaring that he has the Harvester Protocol. Tony hears him announce it and tells Steve that this isn't good. The Harvester Protocol is a big problem. But as they begin to activate the Harvester Protocol, the glass ceiling breaks, and in jumps Batroc the Leaper with Machete, Zoran, and Rapido. They begin opening fire on various weapons dealers, telling everyone that they are here for the Harvester Protocol. Steve jumps out of the way, pushing down one of the people that was standing next to him, and as the Harvester Protocol begins to go off, Steve's disguise begins to fade away. Batroc looks at him. Steve Rogers, Captain America, what a beautiful day at Madripoor. He opens fire on Steve, but luckily Steve has a hard light shield to protect him from the bullets. He then cracks Rapido over the face with it. Works almost as good as the real thing. Tony activates his suit. At this time in the timeline, Tony's suit is the Extremis suit, which hides in his bone structure, and he tells Steve that he's on his way. But Steve tells him, take your time, I have this. Iron Man comes crashing through the wall, telling Steve that they've got to get the Harvester virus. So Steve tells Iron Man to stop Batroc, while he goes for it. Iron Man turns to Batroc. The jumping guy seems like overkill, but consider him stopped. Batroc leaps onto the stage, telling Kashmir that he's here for the device. But he is corrected when she tells him, who do you think is paying you? Your mission parameters have changed. It is to get me out of here safely now. Iron Man flies over to him, but Batroc kicks him in the head, and Kashmir fully turns on the Harvester device. A surge of electricity goes throughout the entire facility, shocking everything. Everything that is powered technologically gets infected, from the bees to Iron Man's suit to Steve's hard light shield. Tony has hit the hardest as his entire suit begins to short out while it's on his body. He has to shut it down, turning it into a liquid suit that is pouring off of his body, and Machete gets ready to take Tony's head. While Rapido's robotic arm begins to go haywire. With her point proven, Kashmir turns off the Harvester and tells Batroc to wrap it up. Batroc turns to Rapido, telling him not to panic about his arm. They'll replace it with what they're getting paid on this job, and they all make for their escape as the place begins to crumble around them. Once everything begins to calm down, Tony explains that the Harvester virus has the ability to spread fast through all technology, compromising everything completely, making all technology useless, and then it takes the specs of what it turned off and it sends it to a central location for replication. In a matter of hours, they can mass produce all kinds of technology. Since it infected Tony's armor, they need to get this figured out in a hurry because they're about to have a lot of Tony Stark's Iron Man armors flying around. And to make matters worse, he now has to purge it out of his system, making him just Tony Stark. Currently, the armor and the virus are both in his bones being purged, and it makes him feel like crap. Steve leaves Tony there because without his armor, he considers Tony useless, and he begins his hunt for the Harvester virus. His hunt eventually leads him to an old apartment building where he runs into Batroc. Batroc begins bouncing all over the place, but Steve has his real shield this time, and nothing beats the classics. Just as he has Batroc defeated, Machete and Zoran run in and continue the fight. Steve finds himself a little bit overwhelmed until something comes crashing through the wall, and there stands Iron Man? Well, it's Tony and whatever technology he could salvage from the destroyed building to make a new armor. He uses a few tricks to drop the C-list thugs, and then using limited rocket boots, he grabs Steve and they get the heck out of it. Tony explains that he built this temp suit. Everything has about one use out of it, and then it's going to fall off. But it should get them where they need to go. They end up following more of Steve's leads until they end up at the harbor. Once they arrive, Tony asks Steve...
We've only got about an hour total, so this is going to be very short, and it's just going to be the base layers today, guys. I will come back later at a later point, either today or tomorrow, to continue on with that.
I saved the day, of course. 5 minutes, huh? I can do 5 minutes with my eyes closed. And then Cap throws his shield out there. Everyone begins to battle, but sadly, the AIM scientists and the C-list thugs don't seem to realize that they're fighting two Avengers, as it doesn't take much for Cap and Iron Man to hold the line. That's when the scientists send out some electrical spiders to mess with them, and Iron Man shocks them with the last of his tech, while Captain America is throwing the spiders around and slamming the villains with his shield. Rapido opens fire on Cap, but his shield blocks everything, and then he throws it at Rapido, dropping him. But that's when Zoran jumps on the back of Captain America, so Iron Man hits Iran with webbing. Yep, webbing, a trick that he learned from Spider-Man. Then Iron Man takes one of their guns and using his tech, he disassembles it and throws the pieces at the AIM scientists. MODOK starts using his lasers, going crazy, hitting everyone, not caring who's on his team. And Captain America responds by throwing his shield at MODOK. Realizing that this isn't going to end well, Kashmir makes a break for it, and Batroc tries to stop Captain America from chasing her. As Batroc jumps on Cap's shoulders, he declares that this is exciting, arch enemies fighting to the bitter end, and Captain America knocks Batroc off of him, hitting him with his shield. As far as enemies goes, Batroc, you don't even rank in my top 10. And then it happens. 5 minutes pass. The whole time, Tony has been purging the virus from his system, and now that it's gone, it's time for him to bring the big guns out as he pulls his suit out of his bones again. Iron Man jumps into the air, grabbing MODOK and throwing him down. Captain America runs into the room with Kashmir and tells her to stop. She can't activate the virus. But using a piece of Iron Man tech that she has recreated, she blasts at Captain America, and he has to dive for cover. It doesn't matter though, because she's already turned it on, sending out the Harvester virus on a global scale. Everything around them begins to short out, from microwaves to cars to street lamps to cell phones. Even MODOK begins to lose control, blasting his lasers even more uncontrollably. Cap doesn't know what to do, but Tony already has a plan. You see, the virus was purged out of his system, curing it, and he now has a series of bees that he can send out around the world, neutralizing the virus all over. Since the bee drones self-replicate, the virus should be gone in a few hours, turning it into nothing but bug food. Cap walks over and tells Iron Man that it took a little bit longer than 5 minutes. Oh, you know, the playboy in me likes to be fashionably late. And it looks like you got your girl while I was busy saving the day. Well, yeah, but she isn't saying much right now. Don't worry, we'll fix that. And ultimately, our heroes won working together. It's just a fun, simple story. These do exist, you know. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter at ComicStorian and Instagram at ComicStorian. And if you want more of these like solo stories that don't really wrap into any giant overarching plots, then let me know by giving this video a like and subscribe.
That's ComicStorian, guys. But I'm also over on Instagram. Again, my name is Blut084, BLUT084. Art and Games.
At Kiwi, we put you in the middle.
Advertisement.
Tony's parents have quite a secret. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into the different ways to help you understand. Then we're ready to dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panel, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. This takes place before the universe reboot and the start of all new, all different Marvel. But we've been told that the events from this story will be reflected in future Iron Man stories. Plus, you know, it's a retconned origin for Tony Stark. Thought you guys might want to know that. Tony has been in space recently, teaming up with the Guardians of the Galaxy. But while in space, he witnessed the destruction of an entire civilization at the hands of an evil robot named 451. He has now made it his job to find 451 and stop him from destroying anything else. So he informs Star-Lord that he'll be back. He has a mission. He recruits a bounty hunter named Death's Head to help him in this search, and they go back to the destroyed civilization to pick up a signal and track 451. This leads the two of them to 451's signal on a Badoon ship that he commandeered, where Tony tells Death's Head to try and take him alive. But if they need to kill 451, they will. But as they prepare to ambush 451, Tony realizes his mistake. 451 already hired Death's Head to work for him and bring Tony to him. And 451 already hacked Pepper, which was the AI inside of Tony's armor taking control of all of Tony's systems. Tony is helpless and at 451's mercy. Death's Head leaves with his payment, and 451 walks Tony into the deeper recesses of the ship. Tony argues with him, but 451 sits him down and intends to show him something that might convince him to help with 451's master plan. Tony tells him that he won't be helping in any ridiculous plan, and as he begins the old movie reel, Tony sees his father, Howard Stark, on the screen. Son, there are things that I haven't told you, things that are going to be hard, and I hope you can forgive me. We love you so much, but this was for the future, for Earth. We did this for you. Then, to Tony's shock, 451 walks up behind Howard Stark. Son, we need you to know the truth, and you may need a drink. Then 451 interrupts. It's not a ridiculous plan, Mr. Stark. It's a long one. You see, half a lifetime ago, Howard and Maria Stark finally managed to conceive a child. The doctor told them that this baby wouldn't come to term. At least, they should hope that he wouldn't. Howard was lost. How could he have all of this influence, power, money, and not be able to save his own child? So he decided that there had to be an answer out there, and he started a journey to find that answer. He went around the world, but in the end, he ended up fittingly in the Last Chance Bar in Nevada. He met with an alien that works for an alien family that runs a casino. The owner of the casino got his hands on a robot that had a mountain of data that might be useful to Howard Stark. Conveniently, the robot gave this alien named Rollo a list of humans that he would like to have help him escape, and Howard Stark was near the top. Howard Stark decided to assemble a team of Jimmy Woo, the Bear, Nessa the Kitten, Dum Dum Dugan, and Thunderbolt Ross to break in and get that robot, the Stark 7. The plan was brilliant, as you would assume from Howard Stark. The aliens had a personal cloaking technology, and Howard rigged the robot with it and his team. Using other members of the team, he made it seem like they stole the robot. The alien family freaked out, grabbing Howard's inside man, and ran to the outskirts of town where the meetup was supposed to be. But then all of Howard's team began to reappear in the room with the robot, who was actually still there, and they blew the roof off of the casino, and they got airlifted out of there. Back in the present, Tony tells 451 that he doesn't believe any of this. It's crazy. But 451 insists that Tony will see that he did this for a good reason. And then he gasses Tony with a sedative. Howard Stark and the Stark 7 ended up going against the alien family again because the family threatened to find and kill Howard's family for the theft. And while Howard killed one of the men, 451 killed all of the aliens behind Howard's back. Then, 451 genetically altered the DNA of the child and left Howard to his family, with each of them hoping that they would never see each other again. Howard walked into his home where he saw Maria with his baby. She asked, "What do we do now?" Howard put his chin in his hands and he told her, "We love him, I guess." Back in the present, 451 explained that that's how Tony came
Now
to
you
be.
can see,
Tony
right,
didn't
we've
want to
got the
believe.
glasses,
He was
and I'll
furious
put
that he
back
still
the
couldn't even
original,
control his
and
own
then we've
body
got the
because
glasses on
451
top,
was still controlling the armor.
and the
But
skin layer
451
underneath.
continued
Again,
to
it looks
explain.
absolutely
You see,
horrendous,
Earth needs
but
a
it
nuclear
won't
deterrent,
at the
something
final
to scare
piece.
off the
Oh,
beings
I'm
in space,
hoping
known
anyway.
as the Celestials. We have that 451, and we have Thor. The 451 continues. The scale that he is
Just gonna
talking
finish
about
that
wouldn't
skin
even
layer off,
be phased by a
with
Thor. And he
this.
wants Tony to be the pilot for this weapon, the 25,000-foot-tall exoskeleton suit,
Obviously
the
got,
God.
lines
Meanwhile,
between.
Death's Head gets a report about a robot with information that's missing. And he realizes
In
that he
future
just messed
videos,
up
you
on
will
one heck of a payday.
understand
So he
why
decides to
I
go
do it
back
this
and find
way.
this 451.
Just need
451 and
a second to
Tony
look at
land
that.
on a planet housing the God Killer, and Tony can see the destruction that this thing is capable of. 451 also says that this is the only thing capable of beating a Celestial. Before this war, there were Celestials throughout the entire galaxy. They step inside, and 451 activates the God Killer with an autopilot.
It doesn't look like
course
it's
for Earth
disappeared,
as
guys, but
lifts
it
off,
hasn't gone
destroying the
anywhere.
very
So if I was
planet that it was
to
just standing on.
remove that hand
451
there,
explains that's why they need a pilot.
that's the
They'll
ear. If
crash
I remove
into
the
things
hand,
on
you can
autopilot.
see the
Tony
hand is
tells
still
451
there,
that the first thing
but
you're going to
it
do in the
is
pilot seat is
removable,
step
so
on
I can
451.
work with it
You would
at a
have,
later
but once you bond
stage.
with the God Killer, you will be considerably more amendable. The creators kept their pilots on a short genetic leash. I've tweaked it so you'll align perfectly with my plans. Yeah, I did think that was a big hole in your plan to have overlooked. But that's when things get interesting as Death's Head arrives and begins blasting at 451. He quickly orders Tony's suit of armor to open fire on Death's Head, so Death's Head blasts Tony through a wall. Tony then asks Pepper what directive 451 gave her. She tells him to curtail any hostile actions against 451 or the vessel and prevent escape. Tony smiles. Wasn't planning on leaving. Let's go on a tour to lose the signal. And he blasts off. 451 runs as fast as he can away from Death's Head, and just as Death's Head is about to smash him, he hacks into the robot, taking control of him. Tony gets to the deepest parts of the God Killer,
And this is where you see the different layers come
Then he
to
goes into
sort of
dummy
fruition.
mode, where the suit will
So
only
if I was to
respond
start
his muscles,
colouring
and he
this
runs.
here,
451 quickly realizes that he lost
and then I
Pepper, and
go
therefore he
underneath,
attacked the
you
suit,
see,
and Tony has 4
instead of
miles of robot
going
behind.
over the
So
top of it,
451 decides to bring Death's
can
Head
actually
into the
colour
fight.
it in
Death's Head begins
and
chasing
not
Tony
worry
around, and Tony has
about
none of his
the
suit's
other
normal
layers
defenses, but
that I've
luckily,
already put there.
451 left
I won't
Death's Head
overcolour
with his
anything.
voice. And he explains to Tony that he was going to kill him because he found Tony by tracing the signal of his armory, the one that he brought with him when he and Death's Head traced 451's signal. You know, the one that's in the loading bay. Tony smiles. My armory's here? Thank you. 451 freaks out. Silence! Leaving you the freedom of speech was a mistake. That's always been my problem. I try to be nice. Tony runs into the hallway and he hacks into his own repulsors so that he can fire them like lasers. 451 takes off into the sky to chase him, but Death's Head's programming is to protect 451. So he jumps off, grabbing 451, and begins to plummet with him to the bottom of the God Killer to protect him from the blast. Tony rides the elevator up, stating, Death's Head, I owe you one. And 451 tells Death's Head to let go. So Death's Head falls to his death, which saddens 451. But it's time to get Tony, and he has a new plan to do that. He redirects
There's
the
a hell of
God
a lot.
Killer
This
armor to
mouse
the
isn't
planet.
moving as
The only way
quickly
to
as it
stop
would be.
is
If I
to
was
put
not
a pilot in
recording
place. Having only minutes,
and
Tony sees
live
no other
streaming,
answer,
it
so
would
he
be
runs
moving
over
a
to an
lot
interface
quicker.
station, and he
But
puts on the helmet, thinking to himself, it's time for the Avengers to step up and stop me, hopefully. But the helmet doesn't work. He can't interface. 451 has calculations wrong. He looks in horror as he's rocketing right for the planet, and he calls out to 451, you got it wrong. You need to stop this. But it's too late, as the God Killer armor goes right through the planet, destroying it and all of its inhabitants. 451 looks saddened by the loss of life. Cold, Tony. I thought I made you better than that. No, my goal is still valid. and he redirects the God Killer to crash through Earth. Tony will take control of it. Tony speeds over to his armory with a plan in mind. He grabs a new suit of armor, and he hardlines into all of the armors that are in the armory, while he activates an earlier version of Pepper pre-hacking. 451 makes projections of himself, and they begin a raw battle with no chance of hacking. Tony and his armors versus 451 and his projections, except Tony's armors are much better at fighting, and Tony uses the confusion to shoot out 451's hacking device. He then walks up to the rest of the armory to walk out with his biggest armor that he brought, and he bombards all of the projections, dissipating them. He then walks over to 451 and he shouts at him, "You wanted me to understand, but now it's your turn. Look, 451, look!" Tony drags him over to an interface and he shoves his hand into it. "Nothing is happening! You failed! I can't control this!" 451 is stunned. How did he get it wrong? It should work. Why isn't it working with Tony's DNA? And then he counts. 400 years, 451 millions dead to justify the means. He gets stuck in a loop. One must not act. One should not have acted. One must not act. One should not have acted. Tony starts shaking him as they get closer to Earth. 451, stop the God Killer! But he's stuck in the loop, and Tony can't break him out of it. You made a mistake! Own up to it! Act! So 451 sends out the command, God Killer, abort. Then Pepper reports that they've missed Earth, but the God Killer is about to absorb itself into another dimension. 451 explains he failed. He needs to remove the God Killer from this universe, and he locked both himself and Tony inside. All of his creations must be removed from existence. Tony starts to tell him that they need to leave, but 451 is stuck in another loop. One must delete the error. One must delete the error. And then he begins to delete himself. The countdown begins, so Tony grabs 451's body and he begins to rocket through the God Killer looking for an exit. He puts 2 and 2 together and he realizes that Death's Head got his tech from 451. So he hacks into 451's tech and then he gets the access codes, and then at full speed, he escapes just as the God Killer is warping itself into another dimension. It then blinks out of existence behind Tony as he flees, and it is gone. He checks back in with the Guardians and then he heads home with the corpse of 451. He has a hunch. He goes home and he gets some pizza, and then the real Pepper Potts surprises him with a party. But Tony can't get his mind out of what happened and his secret origin, so he begins digging through Howard Stark's paperwork trying to get answers. And now that he was finally looking between the lines, he gets what he was looking for. And what he finds shocks him. He drives to a location that he wasn't even sure existed to find a person that he didn't even know existed. You see, half a lifetime ago, Howard and Maria knew something was off about 451. As helpful as he seemed, something didn't add up. Howard looked at all of the DNA segments that 451 was adding to Tony, and he realized that there was something extra there. Something that looked like an automatic time bomb. So he changed it. He altered the DNA of his son. That's where the problems began, because after Maria gave birth, they started to hear a wheezing noise, and the doctors told them that their child would not survive without the assistance of an iron lung to help him breathe for the rest of his life. Whatever Howard tinkered hurt the boy, and he never meant for that. But regardless, their son needed to be hidden away. 451 could never know what they did. Then to possibly confuse 451, they adopted their son Tony, because they still couldn't conceive a baby. Tony walked into the hospice and into one of the back rooms, where he found Arno, his brother. Arno was in a device to help him breathe, and he was unable to speak without the assistance of a computer. But he smiled, and through a computer, he told Tony that he would have figured this out a decade ago. Tony told him that 451 was gone, and the original plot is over. Arno is free, and together, they've decided to help the world as the Stark brothers. We're going to do the next parts to this story very soon, so I hope you guys are looking forward to find out about Tony and his brother. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram @ComicStorian and on Twitter @ComicStorian. And we also do video game comic books over on our gaming channel, Eligible Monster, every Friday. So make sure you click the link down below and go subscribe over there. I'll see you guys next time right here.
Look around, the whole world's coming together.
What if Civil War never ended? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues, and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by respective companies. 6 years ago, there was a time when heroes fought each other for what they believed in. They fought over a law, the Superhero Registration Act. There was a group of inexperienced heroes who tried to take down a group of bad guys, but they didn't stand a chance. And because of it, 600 people died. So the law was made. If you wanted to be a superhero, you had to register and take off your mask. Only after that can you be a hero. Tony Stark was at the front of this new law. He wanted to make sure that there was order. Steve Rogers didn't see it that way. He felt that this was a violation of the principles of liberty on which the nation was founded on. And so they fought in a little event known as Civil War. Eventually, Steve Rogers led a charge on the prison that Iron Man had created to release his allies. During the charge, T'Challa and Dagger were going through the prison security systems until T'Challa found something. The entire prison was rigged with a self-destruct, and it was armed. T'Challa tells Dagger to find Cloak. He can teleport everyone away, and T'Challa will stay back to buy them some time. But in the middle of the prison, everyone is fighting, and Commander Hill informs Iron Man that they've activated the self-destruct. So Tony tells everyone to get to Cloak. It didn't matter whose side you were on, everyone had to get away. They all began getting teleported back to Earth, and everyone began to fall into the city. Cloak wasn't fast enough. He wasn't able to close the portal in time. Sure, a good number of the superheroes made it through the portal, but so did the resulting explosion. Many heroes died, and 15 million civilians died in that explosion as well. After that, things got out of control. It didn't seem like either Cap or Iron Man were in charge any longer, and during the chaos, the village tried to rise up. Then there was the Osborn coup. That failed, and after all of that, there are now two sides to the nation. The Iron, led by Tony in the East, and the Blue, led by Steve in the West. Whose side are you on? That was 6 years ago, but now with the nation divided, there is someone who believes that there can be peace. There can be reunification. Miriam Sharp. She stays on the bridge that was built to connect the two nations, and she's invited both Tony and Steve in hopes to reach a peace, and they both agree to arrive. Miriam knows that in order to bring reunification, it won't be simple, so she decides to talk about the things that each side needs and to start there. Tony needs space for his population. They've been growing, and they have nowhere else to go, where Steve has space, but he lacks the resources that Tony has. They go back and forth for a second, when suddenly, a bullet comes from the Blue, hitting Miriam Sharp in the chest. Steve radios into his man, Peter Parker, who is finally getting to see MJ and his child after all of these years, and he tells Peter to find that shooter. Expanding the wings that he acquired from Falcon, Peter takes off. He doesn't find the shooter, but he does find the rifle about 2.5 miles out. Steve tells Tony that the rifle that was found is a high-caliber rifle, and the shot would take several seconds to travel. Miriam wasn't standing in the spot that the shot was fired. As they were talking, she moved into range, meaning the shot wasn't meant for her. It was meant for Steve. And there's only one person that can make that kind of a shot, Bullseye, and he works under Tony. Tony tries to tell Steve that Bullseye doesn't work for him.
Oh,
Steve
sorry,
tells Tony
Nicky.
goodbye and leaves. Once outside, Spider-Man reaches
I'm
for the
actually
rifle
recording
and
this, so
and
you're
as
probably
they
going to
go,
get a hell of a
Steve
lot
tells
back.
Spider-Man, Tony will never let this war end.
Give me a second, I'll pull you up.
Later, when
Hey,
Tony
how you
returns to
doing?
the Iron, he sends out a drone to scout
Yeah,
where
it's
the shooter
Captain America.
was.
It's actually
He
the
was able
same
to track
story
the
as
route
listening
down
to
that the
tomorrow.
shooter
Yeah,
took
yesterday,
after the shot. But during
yesterday,
the
I
drone's
thought-
flight, kind of ran into some storms.
I'll try and make it all in
caused by
one
storm.
video,
Storm
but
calls down the
I've
lightning
got
and destroys the
roughly
cloud.
about
She
20
takes
more
them back
minutes
to
till I've got to
Town
get
so that
going again,
Colossus can have a look at it.
because
They're not
I've
sure why
got
Tony
other
would send
things
out
to
a
do
drone,
this
so
afternoon.
Colossus decides to punch his way through it and pull out its brain. Colossus then tells Storm to bring it over to Steve to get analyzed. A little while after this, Tony sits in his command room with Jennifer looking at a timeline. Tony explains all of the events and possible events that have led up to the death of Miriam. As Tony
Oh, nice
goes on,
one.
Jennifer finally begins to
I got a
see what
feeling there's
he's
going to be a lot
starting
of
to
people
see
that's going to be
being
buying a
planned.
lot of
Back over in the laboratory,
different
Hank
video,
McCoy, Steve,
sorry,
Hank, and
different
Peter all
comics.
stand around
I'm glad
a
I've got the ones
sand
I've got.
currently as a pile of sand. Flint was taken in for killing travelers and taking their things. Normally, there
Few
would be a
understand that
punishment,
actually
but there
appears in
has
them,
been
so
another
they're
option.
quite
Flint
dear
allows
to me.
Hank to test his experiment in exchange for walking. Steve looks down at Flint in his container and he tells him, "Are you sure about this? There's no going back." Flint tells him that he's made his choices. He has no regrets, but Steve couldn't say the same. Steve turns to Hank and he tells him to do it. Flint starts to scream out in pain, but during this, he starts to take on a human form, his actual human form. Hank tells everyone that
Yeah,
Project
we've heard this
Bell Curve
quite a few
was
times.
a success. Project Bell
If you want to
Curve
hear
can
this
strip the powers
again,
of an
guys,
empowered
if you're watching the
individual
recording,
permanently.
definitely
There's
check
one
back
slight
on the
problem.
video where
The
I
resources
coloured
are
this in
limited. They
yesterday.
just used all of them
What
in
I'm
that
going to
last
do is
test.
I'm going to
So
find another
Cap
one,
and Hank decide to send Peter into
because we've heard this about 2 times now.
A journey every kid must go through. A rite of passage.
Do you remember that time that Tony Stark turned into a woman? Well, I do. Let me tell you about it.
There we go. Let's change it up.
So this one is a tad newer than our Batman story from last week, which in my opinion makes it even funnier. Because at least back then you were like, oh, that's when comics are crazy. But this one only happened in 2007 with the Mighty Avengers, which started shortly after Miss Marvel was placed in charge of the Avengers. Monsters began to invade New York City, and the Avengers went to go fight against them. But shortly into the fight, Tony Stark's armor
Everybody
began
needs
to
a
go
comic.
all kinds of haywire, and then
I'm
it
reading the comments.
exploded,
The comments here, guys. You cannot see the comment.
a fully
Comments.
nude
I am
Wildling,
live
just like
streaming, guys.
Janet.
So when I'm
The
live
reasoning
streaming, you
behind
can,
this
but
is
when
that
I'm
Ultron
recording,
was
you
in love
can't,
with Janet.
unfortunately.
So to make matters more
That's
interesting,
what we've got
Tony
playing in the
Stark was
background.
not only turned into a woman, but he was also turned into a lesbian woman robot that was in love with the person that she was made from. The reason that she was able to take over Tony Stark is because he had interfaced Extremis with his own biology, and this allowed Ultron to just overwrite Tony's DNA. She then goes off to kill Sentry's wife, and then the Sentry begins tearing her apart, almost ripping her head off. And then eventually, a new Avenger called Ares uses a computer virus, which was made by a Skrull that was impersonating Hank Pym. Now, that's a story for an entire different day called Secret Invasion, but the purpose was to overwrite the armor once again and allow Tony to turn back to normal. Tony then wakes up in a hospital bed with all of the Avengers making fun of him for turning into a woman, and then reassuring him that he still has his manhood. The closing lines on this story are the rest of the Avengers telling Tony that he was indeed a very pretty girl, and Janet informing him that he had boobies. There isn't much more to this, and if you want to read this one yourself, it's not that hard to come by. It's Mighty Avengers 1 through 6. This situation has also never been mentioned again by anybody. You know, the time that Tony turned into a killer female robot. Now just imagine them using this storyline in the next Iron Man movie. Robert Downey Jr. turning into a woman for half the movie. That would just be weird, wouldn't it? This whole series is basically a way for us to bring you bite-sized content about the weirdest stories in comic history. So I do hope you enjoy it, and check out these other great videos on the screen right now. You just might like them. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ComicStorian, and I'll see you guys next time right here.
Oh, adverts. Yes, I can. I'll piss off adverts.
So this is Ant-Man. Welcome to the Complete Story Series. We take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites for you to understand. Then we read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems that all art is owned by its respective companies. Remember to support the official releases of these books and purchase them at your local store. We open our story in a nice and dark building in the wee hours of the morning. This is Ant-Man breaking into the building. As he explains, being Ant-Man is great, but it really doesn't wow people. Just imagine yourself at a party and one of the guys is like, hey, I'm an immortal god that controls thunder. And another guy's like, hey, I'm the mutant king of Atlantis. And then the woman turns to you and you say, I can make myself really small and talk to ants. I'm also currently divorced. As he's explaining his current situation to you, though, he shrinks down to the size of, you guessed it, an ant, and he sneaks around the computer, turning off the cameras and gassing the guard that's there. He then walks into a hallway filled to the max with security lights. As he fits for Ant-Man, though, as he shrinks down and he glides ants through the lasers.
This is why you should always use your layers and remember which layer you're on.
Good job, Chuck Barris. Naming them is important because this shows the employees that you value them. He thinks to himself as he pets the ant. But as he gets deeper into the building, we start to see the things that this gentleman owns, like a big TV and an Iron Man helmet. Wait. We should probably back up this story just a little. Scott Lang used to be a really good thief until he got caught. This ended his marriage, so when he got out of prison, he swore that he would give up his life of crime. That is, until his daughter got really sick with a heart condition. So he found the greatest heart surgeon in the world, and he discovered that she could help his daughter. But she was being held hostage by a man named Darren Cross, because he was kidnapping homeless people to have their hearts removed and placed into his own chest. Long story. So Scott Lang broke into the home of Hank Pym and stole the Ant-Man getup so that he could break into Darren Cross's facility, defeat him, and rescue the doctor. She, in turn, saved his daughter. After that, Hank Pym let him keep the outfit, so Scott joined the Avengers, and then he joined the Fantastic Four a few times. He also died at one point, but that's another long story. And now, well, he's applying for a job with Tony Stark. After showing up in the Ant-Man costume because he didn't have any other clothes, printing his resume double-sided on a single piece of paper, and then stumbling over his own name, Tony walked into the interview to save him. It's fine, Scott, just come with me. You don't need the interview because you won't be getting the job. Wait, what? Scott asks him. The interview was a formality to avoid legal issues, Scott. You've been an Avenger, a member of the Fantastic Four, and done countless other things. But none of it stuck. Because you flake out and you leave. I need someone that I can depend on. Someone that I can trust. Do you seriously think that you can do that? Tony, please. Take my word for it. I need this. Fine. You're lucky that I'm a sucker for a second chance story, or a 17th chance in your case. I'm holding a competition tomorrow for the candidates for the job. Be there and we'll see how you do. But I'm not betting on you. Scott walks away thinking how stupid this is. This is Tony Stark, and he's lecturing Scott about sticking to things? Oh, hi, I'm Tony Stark, and I ran shields into the ground, and I kind of got Captain America killed. Oops, better go to outer space where they hate me also. So while griping to himself about how much of a jerk Tony is, Scott heads home to see his daughter, Cassie Lang. She is his whole life. He loves the time that he gets to spend with her and would do anything just to get more time with her. And if you're wondering why, as he puts it, his kid is just cooler than everybody else's. But his ex-wife, she is not cool. She yells at Scott for picking up Cassie from school because he didn't clear going to get her with his ex-wife. But then he tries to argue that he should be allowed to visit her. Well, his ex-wife comes back with the argument that Scott doesn't even have an apartment, just some weird studio situation. So he tells her, well, he'll just shrink down Cassie with him. But his ex-wife stops him there. No more shrinking. How could you even show up in that costume after everything you put Cassie through? And that new job you said you're getting with Stark, you don't think that that's going to follow you home? I'm not even going to let you drag Cassie into your messes anymore, Scott. So Scott shows up for the big trial that Tony has set forth. And automatically, he feels defeated. Some whiz kid is half his age, another guy's a genius, and the new Beetle that's supposed to be a villain. The test is simple: to have each candidate get through killer drones, motion sensors, and vibranium-reinforced walls. And once they get through all of that, they need to hack an old computer. All three of the other candidates fail at the computer, so Tony looks to Scott and he says, "Hey Scott, show the kids how it's done." Scott steps forward, looks at the screen, and he uses his ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. He shrinks down his stomach, forcing himself to vomit and fake being sick. Yeah, that did it. So Tony looks at his candidates and he tells them all that he's very disappointed, so he's going to have them all try again tomorrow. That's how we get to the start of the story, when he's breaking into Tony Stark's penthouse apartment. Scott needs this job so that he can take care of Cassie, but he won't be able to hack into that computer tomorrow. Not without a little help.
Oh god, this
so he's
mouse
breaking
is
into
doing my head
Tony's
in.
penthouse so that he can hack the computer and get the code
Very
for
slow.
anybody. This way tomorrow, he'll just be the king of the competition. But just as he begins to hack into the computer with his tiny little hacking device, I think it was built for ants, the door swings open and in walks Tony Stark. And Beetle? Oh man, she must be trying to do the same thing, he thinks to himself. So he hops down, letting his little wireless hacking device do its thing. But suddenly, the hacking device says congratulations. Clapping can then be heard from the computer, and confetti goes off in Tony Stark's bedroom. At this point, we're going to jump ahead a few minutes, with Scott Lang apologizing to Tony about breaking into his apartment. But as Tony explains, Scott won because that was the test. The one yesterday was purposely unbeatable. He just wanted to see who had the ability to break into his personal penthouse and crack it here in his house. Scott is now the new head of security for Stark Industries. Tony explains that this penthouse, the cars related to it, and all the money are now Scott's, all a sign-on bonus. But that's when they both realize that Beetle is still in the room, and as she explains, she wasn't trying to get the job. She's a hired assassin here to kill Tony. Scott sees her pull out the gun, but he realizes that this is his chance, so he shrinks down, jumps into the barrel of her gun, and he pulls out the wires, breaking it. Way to earn that sign-on bonus, Scott, Tony says as he puts on his suit and begins to chase down Beetle. I got it from here. Scott is so excited the next day, and the first thing he does is head over to tell Cassie about his wonderful new job and apartment. He did it! He has a stable income for his daughter! But when he gets to her place, his ex-wife tells him Cass left. Scott is in shock. What's going on? We're moving, Scott. We're going to Miami. You can't do this. I have visitation rights. I decided it yesterday when you showed up in that costume again. I need to keep her away from that costume life. I need to move her away from all of this superhero stuff that happens in New York. Scott argues about this, but there really isn't anything he can do. This job with Stark can change everything, and it's here in New York, the city where aliens attack, people end up in other dimensions, gang wars break out, and all this stuff is probably affecting Cassie's grades. Should he stay here and make all of this money and send it to her? Or should he be her friend and be there for her as she grows up?
Cool. How you doing there, Nicole?
Life in the big leagues, money, cars, women, superhero stuff, or fights with the ex-wife and potentially
you'll
messing up
get a
his
better
daughter's
quality
life.
video
There's really
once
only
it's
one choice here,
once
isn't
I
it?
upload the video
The next
or
day,
the
Tony begins to freak out on his
after
phone,
the live
demanding
stream.
to know where
So don't forget to hit that
He's
subscribe
supposed to be
button
announcing his new
and
security
check it
in
out
5
later.
minutes.
But
And there
there's
is no
the
Scott
base
Lang
image
here,
that I've done,
because
and
where is
I've
he?
got to
Stowing
sort
away
of
in a
wrap it up
backpack
quite
on its way
quickly.
to
I just
Miami.
wanted to get the
That night
basics
in
done
the Miami
today,
Heat,
and the
Ant-Man buys a Tony
thing,
Stark
the
Sunrise
base layers
apartment
done today, which is,
and he
as
picks
you
up
can see
Cass.
here
The
on
two
the
of them
right.
shrink down into his new
We got
house
the
on
hand
the
layer
top of a roof.
and
They watch the
the
Hunger
ear.
Games ripoff Battle
We got
Royale
glasses
on her phone
and the
together.
beard, of course,
because Scott can't leave his daughter behind.
which I
She's the
think I've
greatest
missed.
kid ever. Better than yours. This is the start of an awesome
No, we haven't.
5-issue run of comics
The
that
hand is
ended
where
in
it
Duty
should be.
Secret Wars.
I'll just
We've
quickly
decided to
remove
not
all
go
of those
forward
so you
with
can
the
see
series
what I
right
mean.
now because I felt that this was a great place to leave the story for now. And if
All
you guys
different
enjoyed
layers.
it, give this video likes, and we'll come back probably next week
But
or the
there's
week
the original
after
image.
with the rest
If you
of
want
the
to check out
issues
that
2 through 5.
video where I have
Or you can just
sketched
go buy the trade
this in
Second
pencil,
Chance Man.
then I drew
Thank you
it
for joining us for this video
over
today, and I
again
hope it
with a
explains
bit of
the things
ink.
for you, and
And
helps
then
you
the next
understand
video, I
Scotland as a
coloured it
character.
all in. There is
Follow us
a
on
coloured
Twitter,
version
Instagram,
already out there,
@Comic
guys.
Story, and check
It's
out these
in
other
pencil
videos. You
and
just
in
might
my
like
new
them.
fail
I'm Benny
tip
for Comic Story, and I'll see you
Copic
guys
marker
next time
pens.
right here.
So definitely go and check those out, guys. As I do try and sort of do each stage and try and draw each stage each time I do it, or when I do it. Again, I had to. This is a very quick video, and I just wanted to get the base layers down. As I want to either continue this afternoon because I haven't got my son this weekend, so I will be sort of having more time over the weekend to do some more actual digital art, and I want to get this so perfect as much as possible. And because I've already drew it out in pencil and things, I want to get this done in digital format because I'm still practicing digital. What I might do is do the recording as well as live, but as you can see, the mouse is horrendously slow because of this, because I'm recording as well as so as you can see here is the recording software I'm using. I'm recording this here as well as doing it live stream right now. Because I'm live streaming as well, you're probably getting a little bit of buff, so you will not get any buff on the recording that you can see here. And yeah, guys, my name's Blut084, BLUT 084 Art and Games. Check out the other artwork this week. Check out the other artwork in the dark theme and the artwork I did last week before I had to change up my theme for this month, as it is fire and firework this month. Don't forget, my name is also available over on Instagram, and I will be on Mixer this weekend as well, which is on the Xbox. So if you've got an Xbox of your own, you can join me on some games. I'm going to be playing GTA this weekend, as we're going to be bringing Body of Death back over on there. He is a big follower and a big gamer with me, and so we're going to be sort of gaming together and just having a bit of fun, really. But if I don't do that tonight, we'll be doing this picture here and finishing it off either on live stream or in another video, which I will upload afterwards, guys. I will upload this video as soon as possible, as I've roughly got about, I'd say, another half an hour until I've got to go up and get my son from school, because unfortunately I've got to take him to his mum's, which is why I've got a little bit of extra time. He generally lives with me, but as you just heard, she has visitation rights, but that's enough of the personal life, and I won't go into too much detail with that. But again, my name is Blut084 Art and Games, here every day on YouTube, occasionally on Mixer, every day and night over on Instagram. Thank you very much, Nikki, for joining me again today, and hello to Nikki's brother. Hopefully you have enjoyed today's little quick video. It has roughly been 52 minutes now, and normally I'm about 2 hours, but I haven't had the extra time that I would normally have today, obviously for personal reasons. But I will be back either tonight or tomorrow, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ding the bell for notifications so when I'll go live or upload that video. Right, that's me chatting. That's enough of me going. I'm going to say bye, and I will see you next time on my channel. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you later. Bye for now. Alexa, how do I spell recording?
Recording is spelled RBCORDING.